Hi, this is Ryan with Jedi Master Tech, and coming today with the Knight Saber with a Xenopixel configuration, and gonna walk through the basic operation, presets, styles, combat features, app control, charging, and then how to access the control box, including the SD card on the inside. So let's go ahead and get started. So just first taking a look at the outside of the hilt and talk about what makes this particular Knight Saber special and where the Jedi Master Tech flavor comes into play. So first of all, you'll notice that we do have a blade plug in here. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute when we power this on. It's got a grip sleeve on it, which gives it a little bit more bulk and the view. This has been upgraded with the 25 millimeter KR Saber's bass speaker and has a customized chassis connector to add that feature in. Additionally, this Saber build comes with the Jedi Master Tech Tri-Core blade, comes with a full array of 3 pixel strips, gives you a much brighter, even color throughout the whole blade. And also loaded on here already for you is the Jedi Master Tech control pack, which has more intuitive controls. The layout is just a lot easier to use, consistent behavior, far less likely to accidentally trigger something when you're going through and using the saber. So with that, let's talk a little bit more about the components of this saber. So you can see up here, we have the main button. This is a single button setup. It has a USB port for charging, and this can use any USB-C charger. There is some information out there about specific amperage and so forth. And while the charger uses a specific amperage, it won't pull more than it needs. So don't worry about that as long as you have a basic cable that you're connecting that doesn't have any special features. Some of the more advanced USB-C cables can sometimes not turn on the Saber or not power it. But in your box, I've provided a cable that will do exactly what you need. So you've got the right cable to go there. So the lower portion, this is called the pommel. This is where your sound venting comes through. There's holes around the outside for decorative, but also to bring that sound through. Up here, we call this the emitter. And so you've got some shine through right up here, which makes it look really nice. And then this is the grip right here. Okay, and then this is the control box area. Okay, so when the blade is in the off position, you're gonna hold down this button just for a few seconds and you're gonna hear a tone. All right, and then that is the Jedi Master Tech startup. Okay, so that connection turns it on and you'll see that we have a white light on the button to indicate that it's lit, that it's turned on. But it hasn't been ignited, okay? If you wanna go ahead and power it up, ignite is a quick click, so we'll start there because that's probably the first thing you're gonna do when you get your saber. So power it on, and that's where you can see that the button is a colored pixel button. So there are some of the other ones that don't come with the pixel lighted button and they stay white all the time, and so this just looks a little nicer where it matches the blade color. You'll also see right in here with that blade plug, and I'll show you the end there as well. This is a custom in-shop made blade plug specifically for this saber to be able to show this on display when you don't have a blade in it. And it does also feature gesture controls, so a quick twist right and then left, so this way and then this way will turn it off or on. So we can power it off just like that. And that is a blade retraction versus ignite. Same thing to ignite. So we can ignite like that. We can retract just like that. Okay. For the way that it sounds and the way that the light specifically works, and we'll see that more when we put the blade in here, we call these sound fonts, and then there's blade styles. And so each one of the sound fonts included in your saber has been tuned with specific blade styles that fit those, in my opinion, the best. And you'll be able to change and customize that however you like. But to quickly change through sound fonts, if you double tap while facing up, let me just go ahead and bring this up like this. If you double tap while up,
the third hunter,
that'll go forward to the next sound font. We can go back, or sorry, keep going forward by double tapping. And then if you hold and twist this way, you'll go back. So if you missed one,
the sun,
you can go back. Okay, so that goes back. Again, double tap to go forward.
The third hunter, the master,
and
the
hold
hunter,
and twist.
the sun.
Okay. Another feature on this particular control set is when you're changing sound fonts, if you hold it down, you can do the quick version. So if you want to just real quickly cycle through sound fonts, this is a nice way to do it. You can just do that little twist.
The knight, the assassin.
Just like that. And that double tap will still go the opposite direction.
The knight, wanderer, the protector, the dark emperor, the sun.
Right? So we can cycle through each of our sound fonts just like that, real easy. So again, a twist when it's down, double tap,
the sun
will go still the other way. When it's up, double tap goes one way.
The third hunter,
hold and twist,
the sun
goes back. Okay, so that is sound fonts and switching through each style. All right, let's go ahead and put a blade in this, and then I'll show you how that works. So you've got up here at the top 3 retention screws. So they take a 2mm Allen key, and I've included that in your box, so you do have one. I'm just going to use one of mine here. And so real easy, just back those screws out. When the blade plugs in, these top ones aren't actually holding it, but just make sure that they're all the way out so that the blade plug can slide out evenly, and it'll just slide right out just like that. So there's that blade plug. This is a pixel blade plug, so you'll notice it actually has a PCB connector on the bottom, and that's because this is fitted with specific LEDs on the inside that make it have a brighter look than some of the passive blade plugs. So that is your blade plug. Okay, and so once that's removed, you'll notice down inside here there's these little pins. We call those pogo pins. This connects to the saber just the same as that blade plug. Okay, I've written the number of pixels on the bottom of this so you can see specifically if you need to change that in code at any future point. But you just go ahead and slide that blade right in there just like that. And you don't need to push really hard. You just want to put a little bit of light pressure on those pins. That'll give you the best connection. Light pressure on the pins, and then tighten your first screw like this. And don't crank down, just tighten until it gets a little bit of pressure, and then go just a tiny bit more. Okay, so all 3 screws, just like that. Okay, and now our blade has been inserted. Okay, now we can turn on, again with gesture control or a single tap, we'll power it on, just like this. And now we've ignited the blade, and you can just see how bright that is. Now, one thing I want to show you is just the responsiveness. So let me back this out just a little bit. You'll notice that it makes sounds as you move it around. Okay. You can simulate blaster blocks by a single tap. So as if, so you can do something like this, just like that, to simulate blaster blocks. Okay. And then if you want to bring the blade in or retract the blade, you either double tap when the blade's on, like this. Okay. Or you can just do that twist off, like that. Okay. All right, so now let's just to show you another color, let's go to the next font. Remember, when it's powered off, I can double tap facing up. All right, so this is one of the red ones, so you can see how that works. And also notice the sound is different. That's because these sound fonts are designed to mimic various characters or a feeling of some character that they might have. Let's go to another one.
The Master.
Okay.
The Dark Lord Order. Fallen Apprentice Magenta.
Okay. So we've got a bunch of colors. This one's kind of a purple color. Notice again that pixel blade, pixel switch actually changes color with us. Okay.
The Princess.
Now you might be catching on to some of those names, and those are intentional. I'll let you kind of figure out what you think those might mean.
Double Agent.
And each one just a little different. Now, if you were to strike another saber, they do have kind of a clash feel. So I'm going to simulate that by just smacking the hilt here. But you can tell, notice it lights up, makes a sound for that. Let me go back a couple.
Princess, Fallen Apprentice, the Dark Lord, or the Master, the Third Hunter.
Actually, let's do the Master. Okay. And then clash. Okay. So that is kind of your basic operations. Okay. Now this has a couple advanced features when you're using the saber when it's on. The first one is called battle mode, and so if you have it on like this, face it up, hold and twist. So we're gonna just do
Enter battle mode.
Twist like that. It says enter battle mode, and what this does is it does a lockup, as if you were striking another blade and holding against that blade, as you've probably seen in the movies. And so I'll simulate that by just holding still after a clash. And so you notice it does kind of that responsive. Okay, so it moves depending on the tilt angle of the blade, and a single tap will come out of that. Or, let me do it again, a quick movement back, like that. So if you were to strike another blade, hold right there, you'd get that, and when you pull back, it'll come out. That's when you're in that battle mode, and so instead of you having to mess with controls, it just makes it automatic. Okay. The other one, so coming out of that, same thing. Hold and twist.
Exit battle mode.
Exit battle mode. Okay. You also have multi-block mode. So very similar. Hold the button, horizontal, and twist. Enter multi-block mode. Now this is like if you want to do a whole bunch of blaster blocks without pressing that button every time. So every time you take a swing, it does another blaster block. Again, coming out, hold the button and twist.
Exit multi-block.
And we've come out of multi-block mode. Okay, so those are some of those basic features. You can do a lightning block. Okay, so blocking a little bit of Sith lightning. So I'll turn that back on. A triple click, right? Facing up, triple click will give you that lightning block, just like that. And another click will come out of the lightning block. Okay, so those are that. The next thing is there is the ability to change the color. So when we color change, I can triple click when it's facing down,
Color change.
just like that. And then this is actually on a color wheel. So you can rotate horizontally just like this until you see the color you like. Kind of pick anything right in there, kind of dial it in and precisely where you want it. You know, even some abnormal colors. You can get like a deep yellow somewhere in there, and then once you select the color you want, you triple click
Color selected.
while it's horizontal, and that'll lock in that color. So now we're using that color. So again, to go into color change mode, I'm gonna hold it down, triple click.
Color change.
Okay. Now we can cycle through our colors until we find what we want. And I'm gonna put it back to green, triple click.
Color selected.
So now I've selected the color and it's locked in. Okay. Those are your basic operations. Now there is the ability to change lighting effects and also ignition effects. So that works with the Saber off. When it's pointing up, you're going to be dealing with lighting effects. Just remember that your lights are usually on the ceiling above you, so you're pointing up for lighting effects, and then ignition effects are the opposite of that, just pointing down. So this is set up so that you're not going to accidentally do it. You want to change that lighting effect, just...
The Dark Emperor, the
Excuse
sun.
me. You're going to actually hold the button and give it a clash, just like we were practicing before. Hold the button.
Flash blade.
Flash. So we got flash blade. Let me show you what that is. Okay, so it's kind of a flickery blade. Then we'll do the next one.
Fire blade.
Fire blade. You can see that moving that fire up the blade.
Steady.
Okay. Steady is exactly what it sounds like. It is just on. That's it. This is probably one of my least favorites. And I'll show you my preference in a minute.
Unstable.
Unstable. This one's kind of a flickery. It does make it a kind of a lighter color because it's going between white and whatever color you're on.
Rainbow blade.
Okay. These are some of the kind of fun ones. Always a nice little treat to see that you could do this kind of thing with the Saber. You can just see those colors going up there because there are actual LEDs and electronics in this blade. So, pretty cool. Next one.
Candy blade.
Candy blade. This is a similar effect, but just stripes with a couple different colors. You can see that. Blue, turquoise, pink, and yellow. The next one.
Cracked blade.
Cracked blade. Okay, so this one has kind of these white cracks that move throughout it.
Pulse.
Okay, this is my favorite. This is Pulse.
Flash blade.
So now it goes right back around. So
Fire blade. Steady. Unstable. Rainbow blade. Candy blade. Cracked blade. Pulse.
right back to where I started. Okay, now the ignition effects, pointing down, and same thing. Hold down that button and give it a clash.
Velocity mode.
Okay, velocity mode. Okay, now you'll notice that it's down here, and the faster you move it, the further up the blade it moves, which is kind of a cool effect. Next one, pointing down, press the button and smack.
Torch mode.
Okay, torch mode. Now this one is like a fire torch. So fire goes up when it's upside down. So you can see, like, as you go up, it points, it goes all the way to the tip, but when it's pointing sideways, or down, it starts going up. Very responsive. You can just see how much that moves in there.
Blaster mode.
Okay, blaster mode. So it's on, but you don't see anything until you press the button, and it's like shooting a blaster. Next one.
Ghost mode.
Ghost mode. This one's kind of fun. So if you hold still, it goes almost off, just like a slight flicker, and then as soon as you move, it comes to life. That could be fun in a dark room. Next one.
Broken ignition.
Okay, this is broken ignition. And then,
Photon ignition.
okay, watch photon ignition.
Stack ignition.
Okay, this one's got a similar look, but it comes down, stack, stack ignition. Next one, hold that button and clash.
Ignition.
Okay, this one was warp ignition. I was talking over that. Both sides into the middle. Same thing on the retraction. You can actually see when I retract, it goes back the same way.
Phaser ignition.
Okay. Here's phaser ignition. It's going to go kind of up and down. There you go. And then from the middle. That's a pretty cool effect.
Scavenger ignition.
Okay, scavenger ignition. This is based on a certain Jedi who was a scavenger, and you can kind of see this. You're going to watch inside that emitter when it turns on here. You see a brief flash of blue, and so kind of a slightly broken hilt at some point. Then
Hunter ignition.
Hunter ignition. This one's different too.
Standard mode.
And back to standard mode. So your standard mode is just a regular ignite. The speed that happens is actually something you can control in the programming. I'll talk about it in a minute, but there's also an app to make it a little bit easier to change any of those things. So we just went through all of the ignition modes, all of the lighting modes, quite a bit that you can do to customize this between changing the colors, changing the styles, how it works. But if you get inside here, you can actually connect this to your computer and do even more to connect this. So let's bring this back down, and I'm going to show you how to get inside of this. We'll start by removing the blade. So very similar as before, just take your Allen key, back that out just a little bit. You don't need to pull these all the way out. If you lose them, I did include a full set of extra screws for the Saber. But if you don't pull them all the way out, it just makes that a lot easier, so you don't have to fiddle with those and put those back in on the retention screws. Okay, I'm gonna put the blade plug back in. Again, this is since it's a pixel blade plug, you want to give that a little bit of pressure to make sure that those pins are connected. And then you just tighten the one on this one side right here. Again, these ones aren't going to actually connect it. You just want to leave those be. Okay, and we'll just check that. You can see that if I power it on, that our blade plug is lit. Okay. Okay, now with the Saber on and retracted, you can see that light lit up. If we triple click, we can check the battery level.
Battery level 69%.
Okay, and if we want to change the volume while we're horizontal, a double tap will change through a couple different presets of volume.
Mute.
There's mute, so it'll power on, but you won't hear any of those sounds, right?
High volume.
High volume. It's a little too high for my taste. Plus the speaker always seems to sound better at medium.
Medium
There's
volume.
medium volume
Low volume.
and low volume.
Mute.
Mute.
High volume. Medium volume. Low volume. Mute. High volume. Medium volume.
Okay. The other thing you can do with the Saber retracted is there are some of the sound fonts on here that have some music. And so to play the music, a long click is what I call that. You just hold it for a single flash on that LED. So just like this. And some of them have multiple. If you do it again right after, you'll hear another one. let you play with that one. Go ahead and explore through the sound fonts. There are some little Easter eggs in there for you to look for with the specific sound that's on there. All three of those things, the music, the volume change, and the battery level, can also be checked in the app. The app is called the Xeno Configurator app. It's found both in the Apple App Store as well as the Google Play Store. And it's again called the Xeno Configurator. And it'll just connect to the Saber through its Bluetooth. You got to have it pretty close to the device to stay connected. So you wouldn't want to have it across the room, but right next to it will let you make those adjustments and changes and turn things on and off remotely. Okay, let's talk about how to get in here. First, we're going to look at powering down the Saber. If you leave the Saber for about 6 minutes, it will power down on its own. But the power down on purpose is just hold that button until you hear the sound. You'll hear it in a moment here. And that's the Jedi Master Tech sound pack there doing that, which brings that sound down. All right, so we're going to first remove the grip sleeve. Okay, so this has 2 screws. One side is the retention, and this one is a pointed screw. I don't know if you can see that in there, but there's a little point on the end of that. Okay. Just don't lose these screws if you're going to get inside here. Normal operation, you will not need to get in here at all. But I do want you to make sure, I want to make sure you know how to do it in case you want to do something beyond the normal. Then this back one, this one actually goes all the way through the grip sleeve into the into the hilt and into the chassis. Where the electronics are. And so it's a little bit longer screw. And this one is slightly longer than these retention screws up here if you ever have them out. And again, you've got a set of those as well to go with it. Now this grip sleeve will slide off. Just be careful so you don't scratch the anodizing on this aluminum. There is a little bit of vinyl tape on the bottom, and what that does is just make it so this piece doesn't rattle around. And so I've kind of fine-tuned how that process works to get there. So with that off, we can now access the grip. You want to grab the control box section so you don't pull any other parts off. So grab that, and then you can twist the grip off just like this. It'll just back off real easily and slide it off. You can set that aside. And now we're into the inside of this. You can see there's a battery. This is an 18653 button cell battery. You really shouldn't have to do anything with this. There's no need to take it out unless at some future point you decide you want to have backup batteries on you so that you can keep going. But in general use, you can just leave that in there and charge it externally with that USB-C. You can see our special bass speaker and its housing that's connected into these. The traditional ones are just built inside here, so this actually extends that out. And then here is your SD card. With that powered down, it's safe to pull that out. There's a little lip right here. You can just kind of put your nail on top of that and slide it out. And just be careful with this. That is your micro SD card. Okay. To connect this into your computer, in your box, I've included a little adapter. So it's a USB-C adapter, or sorry, a USB adapter, and you can just plug that in to be able to access everything on there. Okay, so I'll slide that back in, and then let's reassemble. Okay, so first take that grip, slide that carefully on there, and twist it all the way on. Doesn't need to be super tight, but just make sure it's snug up against the top. Okay, and then take your grip sleeve. Okay, and I use this part. So there's 2 halves of this. I do this ribbed part up and slide that carefully over. Again, we don't want to scratch anything, and you're just going to line it up with where you can see those holes at the top, and flip it over. You're going to start on the back, line up those holes, and get your longer of the 2 screws, okay, and start this in here. Now, this one it's going through two different sets of threading, the grip sleeve and the actual hilt. And so if you get it lined up right, it will go right in. And if it's harder to put in, you're cross threading one of those. And so you want to just adjust that a little bit until it smoothly goes in. And that just by pushing on one side to get the right spacing. But if it goes in smoothly, you're doing it right. If you have to put any pressure at all, then you're cross threading. You want to back out a little bit and adjust. Okay. And just go until it's just below the surface, and you can feel that with your finger. Okay. I'm going to go just a tad more like that. Okay. This doesn't need to be tight in there. It'll hold in just fine. And then on the other side, go ahead and take your pointed set screw, and that pointed one we're going to put right through here, and this one just sits right in a little nub that I milled on this grip so that it would hold on nicely. And again, don't have to over tighten that, just tighten it enough that you feel it just below the surface so it's out of the way. And now you have reassembled your hilt. Okay, so we've gone through all the basic operations. We've talked about what comes in your box here. We've talked about how to access all of the various features. This video will serve as your manual for the product, and really hope you enjoy the saber. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Let me know what I can do to help you. If you want to do any additional custom work on this, or you just want to figure out how to do some different sound fonts and get some sources for that, feel free to reach out to me and let me know. So again, I've been Ryan with Jedi Master Tech, and this is the Xenopixel Knight Saber. Enjoy.